All right, welcome back to another episode of Trippin' Ain't Easy TV. I am your host, Trip Simpson, in the building.
The king in the north! The king in the north!
And today, I want to talk about this Ryan Clark and Andrew Schulz back and forth that came to a quick halt the other day on the latest episode of the Pivot podcast. All right. So to give you guys some quick background on how this dispute got kicked off, I'm going to show you Andrew's initial statements and then Ryan Clark's response.
What is the black girlfriend effect? This is
You don't know about
glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend, all of a sudden he's got buzz cut, like clean shape up. Glows up, bro.
I like that.
I like that.
They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends,
they grow
step,
a beard
they step
because
their dick
there's
up.
more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of.
All right, now, as you can see, that was a clip of Andrew Schulz when he had the fellas from the Shits and Gig podcast on, okay? Now, of course, Ryan Clark saw this, and his reaction to this was him releasing a 5-minute, yes, a 5-minute response in defense of black women. From a joke, okay? It was a goddamn joke. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves. Brace yourselves. The pandering you are about to witness in this next video is disturbing. Let's get to it.
The first thing is, when you think about the two podcasters from the UK, is we don't know if the black experience there is the same as the black experience for African Americans or black people that grew up in America. I'm sure to be on this media tour in the US and to sit with Andrew Schulz was a big thing for them. I don't care if it was a big thing. And in addressing Andrew Schulz, who I do think is funny, who sits with Charlemagne and has some of these discussions about the culture, I believe he got too comfortable. So I would like to explain some things to him. I want to explain to him the black experience, the black woman experience from my point of view. It was watching my mother start from a bank teller and work her way up for decades to run her own collateral department, only to be mistreated when the bank was sold to another bank, and be so sick on Sunday that I finally had to say, hey mom, you're old enough to retire. It was to see her go to that same job 8 to 5 to be treated anyway that she had to be treated because she only had a high school diploma, and then find ways to not only feed me but do homework with me and my brother, take us.
You know, I want to stop it right here. This is what is so baffling to me, right? Black comedians tell jokes about every race under the sun all the time. Nobody bats an eye. When Dave Chappelle made jokes about other groups, nobody bats an eye, which they shouldn't, because they're just jokes. All right, black people don't have nothing to say. Andrew Schulz makes one joke about the angry black woman trope, which is, I mean, it's a stereotype that everybody thinks at the end of the day, and it's funny. He has to go on a whole tirade equating his own mom to the stereotype. Like when it's not that serious, bro. Nobody said that your mother was an angry black woman who slaps people. Unfortunately, though, this is the role that black women play on TV. When you watch Baddies East or The Bad Girls Club or any housewife show with black women on it, they're all acting a fool. They're all fighting. They're all disrespecting their men. This is the image that these women give off. So someone comes along and makes a joke about it and you're offended? You shouldn't be offended by the person telling the joke because they're just making an observation. You should be mad at the people who are upholding this stereotype. So instead of wasting 5 minutes going off to a comedian telling a joke, why don't you address black women in general and explain to them the importance of not making a fool of yourself in public. But anyways, my 2 cents. Let's continue.
To practice because my dad worked 3 jobs. That was the first black woman experience that I had. Right, the second black woman experience I had is marrying a black woman and watching her sleep on my cot as doctors try to figure out why I'm 140 pounds and I'm a 30-year-old man who was 205 pounds a month before that. Her telling me months after that she would just go in the bathroom and cry every night in the hospital because she didn't want me to worry about her because I was so sick. Right? For her to hold my family together so I could be in the household with my children when I was doing things and I wasn't shit. That's the black woman experience. The black woman experience is black women caring so much about the nuclear black family, black women taking care of young black.
Gotta stop him. Gotta stop him right there. Black women, and this is no offense to black women. I'm not trying to insult every black woman, but let's just be honest. This man just said black women and the nuclear family and being dedicated to the nuclear family or whatever he said. I could have misquoted him, but whatever he said about the nuclear family, you gotta be shitting me, bro. Over 70% of black women have children out of wedlock. If anybody doesn't give a shit about the nuclear family and you wanna make a generalization, not all, but you wanna be in general, talk about the nuclear family and who does and who doesn't respect it, then unfortunately black women are number 1. Because they habitually have kids out of wedlock. That is what they do.
Men, to teach them how to be leaders, to teach them how to be strong, to teach them how to care about their God, about their family, and it's about their communities. And to raise their young black women to be independent enough to take care of themselves, but to understand how to support a family, how to support a man, while also understanding how to get it on your own. That's the black woman experience that I know.
All right, and we're gonna stop it right there. All right, so there we have it. All right, there we have it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward up until about 2 days ago where Schulz and Ryan Clark finally got to sit down and talk man to man about this situation. All right? So let's get to the first clip.
Actually, I do appreciate, though, like all jokes aside,
yes,
I do appreciate the way, you've conversed and communicated with me about.
Now watch how he does this. This is going to be masterful. He's going to break Ryan Clark down so masterfully. It's genius. Okay? Once they get the small talk over with, Schulz is going to start cooking.
That's right now. But I think it seemed as if you were trying to explain these things that are like troubling for you culturally. My initial reaction was obviously this thing like, why is he talking about this and like me right now? Like, what is the moment? And that's why I thought it was clout. And then when you text me, you're like, I have a lot of black women that are in my life that are going, hey, you need to address this, you need to understand this, and you need to protect us. And I was like, okay, I get that. It's like more of a protective instinct. And I was like, okay, I understand where that's coming from. And like, I think that's noble. Like, I'm fine with that. And like, people are allowed to react however they want to jokes. I think that's like a misconception with comedians that like, you have to like our jokes. Like, I didn't even think the joke was that good. But it was, yeah, I didn't think it was that good, but it was a joke. And the intention was to make people laugh. And I think the issue I had with what you said was that like, I felt it was framed as if like, I was unaware of these things that you were saying. You were like, I want to tell you what like black women mean to me. And then you told like beautiful stories about like, your mother and what she did for you and like your wife and what she was doing for you when your health was bad, you know what I mean? And I'm listening to this and I'm like, wow, like black women will do anything for their children. And they'll do anything for their husband when they're sick. And I was like, I think my mom and wife are black.
You used me, Skinner! You used me!
That was absolutely brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. That was brilliant. I mean, good Lord. Like, Andrew played this situation perfectly. I mean, his response to all the black women experience bullshit was basically, well, all women do that shit. I mean, this was an extremely polite way in making Ryan Clark look like a goddamn idiot. And he couldn't do shit but laugh. I mean, real quick, let me show y'all something real quick. Look at the response from everyone else.
I get the joke.
Look at their response. Look at their response. Look at the other co-hosts, okay? You know they roasted his dumb ass behind the scenes. You know it. You know they did. But wait, it gets even worse. It gets even worse. All right, check this out. It gets even worse.
Trend, the thing that's out there in the world gets the response from Trend, the thing that's out there in the world gets the response from him. But he's also just the best to ever do it at talking into a microphone. So like that's like, I think the most sophisticated way of like going about it. I gotta probably get better at that. But like my initial reaction is going, like, I'll tell you what you wanna know what my initial reaction is, which I think is kind of unfair. But my initial reaction was when I saw you guys talking about it, and I was like, okay, he wants to protect black women, and this is very important. And then I looked on every one of the episodes that you had to see if there was any guys on here that beat up black women. Mm-hmm. And there were. And I looked to see if you guys addressed it on the pod, and you didn't.
Okay.
Now, I also saw you guys had the episode with DeAndre's mom talking about domestic violence. So I was like, okay, this is good and this is powerful, this is important. But my knee-jerk reaction was, man, I get a whole section that's not even part of an episode. Mm-hmm. And these guys who we know have actually, like, for like a joke, and these guys who have actually like hurt black women and convicted, not allegations, because I don't go off of allegations, I go off of conviction. Everybody can get an allegation, it means nothing. And then these guys, they don't get anything. So in that moment, I was like, this feels like a clout play. It doesn't feel like the highest priority is protecting these women. So that was my initial reaction.
So I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
We have had people on this show that have been convicted for domestic violence that have pulled it out of the show.
That pulled it out of
that I have asked about it.
Oh, and then they're like, I don't want it on the show.
Yeah, and I do, because people come on our show.
So now he's gonna play the game like, oh yeah, well we've talked about it before, but we just had to delete it. Come on, bro. Come on. For someone that's so concerned about the well-being of black women, why would you cut that part out of the show? I mean, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. But let's continue. We'll play a little bit more of this, and then we'll get on.
Voluntarily,
of course,
I do ask those questions in respectful ways. Right? I'm not, hey man, you're a woman beater, but I will say, like in one of the instances that was pulled, I said, look, you know, you were convicted of something that no man wants attached to his name.
Amen.
And they answered it. We talked to their people. I was like, man, the answer was good, like, and they pulled it out of the show. So we've had that happen. We also had an instance with one of our guests who was talking about sexual assault, and he talked about it in a way that almost said that, okay, how do we blame the women? And I addressed that as well.
Yeah.
So as far as for me, I try to address it in every opportunity that I get a chance to with them. Yeah. I try to ask them questions in ways that they get to tell their side of the story.
Yeah.
When they sit with us, I do not bash them over the head with it, condemn them, or judge them in the moment.
Yeah.
I do try to have a conversation about it.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. This was a master class at turning woke ideology against itself. All right? He turned criticism over a joke into accusations that the Pivot podcast platforms domestic violence offenders. Oh, and he also exposed Ryan Clark for picking and choosing who to be outraged with based on race. I don't think he could have played it any better. But what do I know? Do me a favor. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, and select all. Peace out. Catch you on the next one.